Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy for anybody that is new around here, and today I've got another drawing tutorial. Today we're drawing a wolf in coloured pencils. I do actually have the full real-time version of this drawing available over on my Patreon, so if you would like to check that out, then I have left a link down below. This is for all $5 and above patrons. I also have a whole library of tutorials in a whole range of different mediums, so coloured pencils, watercolor, charcoal, graphite and pastels. If that is something that interests you, then you can go and check out my Patreon down below. And every tutorial also comes with the reference photo, the outline sketch and a full materials list, so you have everything on hand to get started. But anyway, let's jump right in with today's tutorial. So the first thing that I like to do is I like to just get in some embossing lines first actually. So I just went in and I used an embossing tool. I started by getting in some like fur texture with the embossing tool. And to do that, what I actually do is just apply a little bit of pressure to the paper with the embossing tool, and it will just create indentations in the paper. And then as you sketch over certain areas, the embossing lines will show through. So I did that for the sections of the fur and also for little details within the eyes as well. The next thing that I like to do is I like to just take a black pencil and I like to outline the eyes. So I go in and outline the main shape of the eyes, including like the pupil, the outlines of the eyes as well. And the reason why I do this as like a first step is because I think it's really important to like capture certain parts of an animal straight away so that you don't lose like those details. And normally the eyes are like the main focal point of a drawing, which is why I typically like to get them in first. I also create some shadows with the black pencil as well, just by like gently shading in some of the black pencil, and that just helps to create definition. It helps to create some depth in the drawing as well. The next thing that I like to do is just shade in some other colours into the eyes. So for example, the actual iris itself is quite dark and brown. There's lots of different tones in there. So I actually like to just shade in different colours into the eyes. Once I have rendered the eyes, I then like to start working on the fur. And typically what I will do is either use like a black pencil or a dark grey, whatever is like the sort of darkest value of the drawing. And I like to go in and create some fur texture by using pencil strokes. And it's really important that you're sort of looking at the length of the fur, because depending on how long your fur is, that should be how long like your pencil strokes are. So I would say that we have like a medium fur length here, so I was using like a medium pencil stroke just to create that sort of look of the fur. I'm also using really nice sharp pencils as well, so I'm going in with the nice sharp pencils and I am just getting in like the fur texture. I'm also looking at like the direction of the fur. So as you can see, there is fur going around the eyes and then like around the face as well, and that's normal for fur. What you'll probably see is that the main structure of the fur is structured around the shape of the face. So it's very, very important that you capture that direction of the fur, and definitely any directional changes as well. And once I've got in like the main sections of the fur, so all the main outlines of the fur, I then like to start shading in some other colours. So I've got some dark greys and also some brown tones that I'm shading in. And what I'm actually doing is pretty much just shading across the surface area of the face, because obviously I've used the embossing lines, and as you shade over the embossing lines, they become a lot more visible. Then we're working on the top part of the head. So again, it's like the same process. I start by taking a pencil. I've got like a dark grey pencil here and the black pencil, and I'm starting by going in and getting in like the main shape of the fur and the main fur textures. And then once I've got that in, then it's a case of like building up all of my shadows, my contrast and my tones by just shading in lots of other different colours into the fur as well. And to create areas that have a lot more shadow, I just apply a bit more pressure. I don't go in and like burnish the paper early on though, because if you do that then it's going to mean that you're not going to be really able to add in any more layers. So I just add a bit more pressure, but I make sure that I'm not going in and burnishing too early on either. And I just keep making sure that I'm using really sharp pencils. If my pencils feel like they're getting a little bit too blunt, I will just go in and sharpen them, because fur texture is very, very detailed. So to create that sort of detailed look, you want to make sure that you are using pencils that are nice and sharp. So now I want to talk about the mouth and the nose of the wolf, because this is probably one of the areas that you are going to have a little bit of difficulty with. Obviously with the shape of like the mouth and the nose, we are sort of drawing a different texture to what we are with the fur. And the tips that I have for drawing like a realistic nose and mouth is to definitely try and break down the areas into shapes and shadows. So I'll look at like the different shapes the nose is making, the different shadows, patterns within the nose and the mouth, and that just really helps to just break it down. And I really do work on this step quite slowly as well, just to make sure that I am definitely capturing everything that I can see. So again, we've got some like fur texture on the bridge of the nose, and I'm making sure that I get that fur texture in by again using the pencil strokes and also a combination of shading. And then I like to get in the nose by again using some outlines first and then shading in some different tones. So I use the black pencil and also some greys, and I also shaded in some blue tones into the nose as well. And then as a lasting effect, I actually use the white pencil from the Luminance set just to go in and apply some pressure and pull up some highlights within the nose. Then the mouth itself was actually quite dark, so I'm using a black pencil and I'm just shading some of this in. We did also have some teeth, so I'm being careful to like move around the teeth and obviously make sure that those teeth show through the black fur. And then we're working on the rest of the face. So again, we've sort of moved on, and what's really important if you're going to be doing this sort of thing where you're working on different sections of fur at different times, you definitely want to make sure that it looks natural. You don't want it to look like you've worked on different sections of the fur at different times. So it's definitely very important that you transition the fur in properly with the fur that you've already drawn, just so that you get that nice effect and that it does look like, you know, it was all drawn at like the same time. So I'm making sure that I do also shade in some colour into the sections of fur that I've already drawn, just to obviously incorporate that nice transition of colour and hues from one section of the fur to another. I'm using the black pencil a lot more for this step because the fur is a lot darker and there's a lot more shadow. There are also some lighter tones as well, so I have obviously used some more like embossing lines and also kept some areas more free of the darker pencils just to allow those lighter areas to show through. So for example, just above the eyes and then on the mouth and the nose section there, and then part of the fur on the back as well. But we are just finishing off with today's tutorial, and I really hope that you did enjoy this one. I really enjoyed drawing this, and as I said, this is available over on my Patreon if you would like to check that out. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye guys!